Hello, Econ students. Welcome to Standard 6. We're going to be talking about things such as money, financial responsibility, the stock market, bonds, um, a lot of interesting topics. So we are going to start today talking about money. So hopefully you have your notes out. I believe I posted them both in Word and PDF. So if you want to just kind of type in your notes on the along as we go on the Word version of the outline, feel free. But let's go ahead and get started. So money, the definitions for it is anything people will use, will accept for goods and services. So it can be a lot of things, as we're going to see. A medium of exchange, the definition of that is the means through which goods and services can be exchanged. No really explanation needed there. And then you have this term called bartering, where if I want a sack of corn and I have a chicken, I have to find someone who's willing to get a chicken in order to get corn from them. So obviously it's quite complex with bartering. Medium of exchange is much easier because it's much more flexible. And again, if I know that my chicken is worth $10, I can buy $10 worth of corn then. It's also a standard of value, so we know how much things are valued by how much money they cost. It can be anything from cars to new trees to houses. So it actually is a store of value as well. And people also know that it will be accepted over time. It has that kind of dependability. So again, challenge question 1, why don't we use food for money? Well, first of all, it doesn't last very long. A lot of food spoils. Secondly, not everyone likes the same food, so it'd be you get to find someone who likes the food that you have to get something else. These are just some pictures. One of the things that we would have talked about in class was why counterfeiting is so dangerous, because people count on their money being legit and acceptable. If enough counterfeit money gets into the market and waters it down, people start doubting whether their money is legitimate. It can lead to big problems. So these are just examples of real versus fake money. As you can see, it's somewhat difficult to tell. These are just some tips. One of the easiest tips that many of you've already used is use one of those pens where you mark on the bill and it comes up a certain color if it's suspicious. If it comes up another color, it's probably legitimate. Now, it's not foolproof. That just measures the dye, the ink, and the consistency of the paper. So one of the things in your notes you need to know is the properties of money. So money has to have 4 physical properties, so actual touch it. So first of all, it has to be durable. Now I know our money tears easily, but it's made of linen and cotton mix, as well as paper, which means that it's a little more durable. It lasts a little longer in the open air, and it's a little bit harder to tear than just paper. It's portable. Money has been used, or I'm sorry, what has been used for money has been anything from coins, which are portable, to massive stone discs, which are not portable. So money usually needs to be portable. You can carry it with you. Divisibility, so you can divide it into different denominators. We have ones, fives, tens. Used to have $2 bills, $20 bills, $100 bills, pennies, nickels, quarters, dimes, half dollars. All things that make it easily divisible. And it's uniform. That's where counterfeiting comes in. All money is supposed to be the same. Makes it easier, more efficient, and it also makes it a little easier for people to counterfeit it though too, although the U.S. Secret Service, which is the agency which investigates counterfeiting, they have ways of determining counterfeit money. If you've handled a lot of money over years, either like at a cashier or a bank, chances are you have handled counterfeit money. Just to be clear, if you do have counterfeit money unknowingly and you spend it, you are not guilty of counterfeiting. You're only guilty of counterfeiting if you knowingly are engaging in using it or creating it. And then the economic properties of money that are necessary, these 3 here, has to be stable, not be all over the place as far as its value, has to be scarce. So we talked about inflation. Money, if more money is thrown into the economy, it brings down its value. So it needs to be somewhat scarce and acceptable. So it has to be widely acceptable. If you have a dollar, you can count on it probably being accepted in all 50 states, as well as many other countries as well. So the three types of money. You've probably heard of them before, but let's quickly go through them. Commodity money is it's money that's actually made from something valuable. A lot of things have been used. For example, gold coins, silver coins. Gold and silver are valuable in and of themselves. However, many other things have been used as well, such as precious stones, rubies, diamonds, olive oil, rice, beaver pelts, all kinds of things have been used for commodity money. Representative money is paper money, but you could exchange it for something of value. And before the 1970s, we had representative money. Theoretically, if you had a $10 bill, you could go to the bank and get $10 worth of gold or silver because your money was backed up by something of actual value. Usually it's gold or silver. The problem with this is your economy can only grow as fast as you can get more gold and silver, which being a finite resource, it limits how much your economy can grow, which pretty much all first world countries and even second, third world countries use not representative money, they use fiat money, which is coming up. And then finally, we have fiat money, which comes from the Latin term meaning let it be done. This is money that is valuable because the government promises it is. It's backed up by the government's word. This is not a modern convention. The first type of fiat money was in ancient China. The emperors would say that their cheap metal coins were worth something because they were worth something. And people would trust it and use it, and life went on. Today, if you look at a dollar bill, it says this money is legal tender for all debts, personal and private. That's the little stamp that says that the government promises that your $1 bill is worth $1. You can get $1 worth of goods because of it. Many of you might be scratching your head like, well, what if the government stinks? Or what if the government's changing or untrustworthy? That is a big problem with fiat money. It has a lot of pluses, a lot of value as we can see, but your fiat money is really only as valuable as your government is. So if your government's constantly changing, constantly being overthrown, your money is going to be all over the place. Our government is, despite the strife we see, is pretty stable. So the dollar is one of the top 3 currencies as far as its value in the world today. So the question is, fill in the blank, in fiat money, coins contain an amount of precious metal that is far less than the value of the coin. So you've heard that pennies are made of copper, very, 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 very little copper. And nickel contains very little nickel. So again, next question, it gives its value is because the government backs it up, says it's valuable. These are types of world currencies. Currency is just another term for different types or denominations of money. So you might recognize some of these. The ruble is used in Russia. The peso, several types of pesos, but the most famous is the Mexican peso. The lira is used in Turkey, used to be used in Italy. You have the rupee, picture of Gandhi, that's used in India. Different types of dollars as well. The rial is used in Saudi Arabia. So lots of different ones. Pound, of course, is used in England. Now, if you talk about which money is the most valuable, meaning you can actually buy the most goods with it, for example, the Mexican peso, it's about, right now it's around between 15 and 20 pesos equals $1. So our dollar is worth much more than the peso. On the other hand, the dollar is in 3rd place in the world. So the most valuable currency is the British pound. And then the second most valuable currency is the euro. So each of those is actually worth more than the dollar. Here are just some more names for them. So now we come to banks. Now, we talked about how putting your money in a bank account, in a savings account, is not a way to protect you from inflation. Inflation is between 1 to 2, even 3% a year. The average, I actually just looked at it a couple days ago, the average savings account is going to earn you less than 1/10 of 1% interest. So you're losing money, your money is losing value every year it's in a savings account. So why do people put it in there? Why is one of the first things you should do when you get of age is to get a savings account? Well, it's safe. It is safe. It can't be burned up like under your mattress, and it's insurable. So for example, if you have money in the bank and a tornado destroys the bank, this is, we're in Tornado Alley, or let's say there's a big bank robbery and they take all the money in the bank. Does that mean you lose the money? Or let's say your bank closes, shuts down, goes out of business. Most banks like PNC, BMO Harris, and others are privately owned banks. They can go out of business. Does that mean you lose your savings? Thankfully, since the Great Depression, no. If you go into your bank, you'll see 4 letters that are very important. The FDIC. That stands for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. It's basically a government-run agency that promises that your money in a bank up to $250,000 for one account, if it's a joint account, it's $500,000, is insured by the federal government. So if you have up to $250,000 in the bank and the bank's destroyed, the bank closes down, the government will reimburse you that money. Now, anything over that, you're on your own. And that's pretty much all savings accounts. Now, stocks, bonds, those don't count. That's why they're more risky, but they also earn more interest, more money back. The stock market doesn't really earn interest, but you get more returns from it. This is for your savings accounts. Now, many of you know that you do get a little bit of interest for keeping your money in savings accounts. Some accounts give you more interest than others, and the reason they do that is because the bank typically only keeps about 10 to 20% of your money there in the bank. The rest of it. All right, so that is it. That is a little bit about banks, a little bit about money. We'll talk a little bit more about banks, the Federal Reserve, which is the Bank of the United States. It's been in the news a lot. Federal Reserve has done a lot to try and minimize the suffering going on from these coronavirus restrictions. And we'll talk more about that next class. So I hope you all are doing as well as possible. Hang in there, stay safe, be smart. To you seniors out there, you're almost done. Finish strong. To you juniors out there, I really look forward to seeing you all, especially during your senior year in person. So stay tuned. Next class, we'll talk about the Federal Reserve.